call the meeting to order. Shall we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item tonight is questions and comments. Does anybody have a question or a comment from the audience?
I'll make a comment.
All righty.
My name is Rick Williams. I have 14 Fawn Lane in the Horsham Town subdivision. This is the first council meeting I've been to in 35 years here, but I'm disappointed nobody else is interested in what's going on here. I do want to commend council and the entire township staff for the job they did in the tornado aftermath. That was unbelievable. I was raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've seen a tornado up close. They are the scariest thing you can imagine. You don't know which way they're going to go. And the destruction, it was amazing. But how it was handled and the cleanup and cutting up the trees and getting the debris gone, it was a great effort by everybody in the township. I noticed on there's a township community page, and I believe council has been presented with some preliminary plans for a new middle school to replace Keith Valley, which I've been in there for some adult education classes, and oh boy, it needs to be replaced. My concern was, I know in the original plans they were going to put in an all-weather sports field, and because of drainage requirements, that now they've scaled that back and they're going to put in a grass field. I would urge council to consider going with the synthetic field and figuring some other way to drain it, because in 5 years, you're going to wish you did. It's one of those things where youth sports have exploded in this township and the surrounding area, and not just youth sports, adult sports too. Rugby is huge over at the College Settlement Camp. There's a whole rugby league that plays over there. But money could be made if there's an all-weather sports field there by the school district to rent it out to interested leagues or teams. And having played youth sports all of my life, there is nothing worse than playing a game in the rain in September and tearing up the field, and it's shot for the rest of the season. It only gets worse. You can't, resodding is prohibitively expensive, and playing in the mud is dangerous. You're just slipping and sliding, and that's how people get hurt. So I know it's a lot of money, and it requires some finagling with a variance or something on the drainage requirement, but I just think down the road, you're going to say, oh, we should have put in an all-weather field. I really feel strongly about that. That's all. Thank you.
I'd like to actually address both of your comments. The
Okay.
first one, thank you so much for your good comments. We've got the best staff around.
Yes.
And that's
I would
why
agree.
that was handled so well. Our staff is outstanding. The second one, the all-weather sports field. We questioned it. First of all, that's a school district issue,
Right,
not a
I know.
council issue. And we did question them about why that changed, and it was not due to drainage issues.
Oh.
It was part of a bigger picture. But I also think they may be revisiting it. I'm not certain one way or the other. Bill, do you have any information on that, other than what we're just talking about here? Any comments?
Yeah, I think, since your last council meeting and discussion with some of the school district staff, it wasn't a firm decision about going back to grass. They were still a little going through their decision-making process. It wasn't firm that they were going, I know the last time they were here, they said they had gone back to grass in their design, but that's not their final decision just yet.
Okay.
So apparently, it's still on the table.
Fluid.
And the good news is they didn't switch because of something that we did.
I just thought it might need a variance. I know there are percentages of permeable coverage and all of that stuff. And I thought,
Hopefully they can come back and reconsider that.
Mhm.
But at this point, that's their decision.
It costs more up front, but it'll cost more to do it 5, 6, 7 years from now when everybody says, oh, gee, we should have put one in. Thank you very much.
I would
Don't
encourage
wait
you.
for another 35 years.
Oh, I won't, believe me. I'm retired now, and every day is Saturday. So I got plenty of time. I'll be here. You'll see a lot more of me. Thank you.
I would also, Mr. Williams, try to attend a school board meeting.
Yes, I'm going to do that too. That's on my to-do list.
Okay.
Just starting here.
All right, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay for the budget.
I'm going to.
Perfect. We like an audience.
All right, with that said, our next item is the manager's budget message. Bill?
So this is the 2022 budget presentation. Just a little demographics of the township here. So we're 17.3 square miles. Our new 2020 census for residents is 26,564 residents. We maintain 5 buildings: the municipal building that we're in now, the police station next door, our township library, our public works facility, and the community center out back. We have almost 93 miles of township-owned roads, 860 acres of township-owned parks and open space. In our park system, we have 6 community parks, 9 neighborhood playgrounds, almost 13 miles of trails, which include the 5-mile power line trail. And some recognitions that the township received in 2021. Our police department received its 7th consecutive accreditation. We also received a Safe Workplace Award for workers' compensation. We received 2 Citizens Communication Awards in the state. The first was our library grab-and-go video, and the second was the Horsham Township is now in the green phase. Both of those were in 2020, and those were videos that we developed and created during the COVID lockdown. Some of the grant awards that we're continuing to do on projects, and you can see all these grants that the township has received over the last 10 years. The projects that we have finished with grants, we don't show on this chart anymore, so it's more than this chart shows that we received over the last 10 years. So I won't go through this and read all of this, but this just shows, how well we do with grants and our, applications, that we try to use all the different funding opportunities that we can get and that we have in our toolbox to try to make projects happen in the township. Some of our 2021 accomplishments. Just this September, we returned to events. Carpenter Cross Bike Race was held. We had over 300 bikers from, I believe, 5 different states come to that bike race. Our Citizens Police Academy started back up in September. And in December, we're having our Freezer 5K and Project Blue Light. As you know, the Carpenter Cross and the Freezer 5K, those proceeds, 50% goes to our local St. Vincent de Paul Food Bank, and then the rest to the park system. Some ordinances that we were trying to get done the last few years, which we were able to get done this year, is our outdoor dining ordinance, our signage, which allows LED signs in certain areas of the township, and the hotel ordinance. Also, we transitioned entirely in-house our new newsletter. So I call it almost a magazine now, rather than a newsletter, but the new newsletter kicked off in January of 2021. We continued our Horsham Farmers Market, which I know all of you know is widely popular. I think there's 1 or 2 left this year. We completed our paving project. We had our 2nd annual restaurant week. We handled the Hurricane Ida, the tornado, and the flood of September 1st, and we started televising council meetings. Also in 2021, we finished the trail out in front of Lukens Park, the trail extension. So this trail connects the main driveway of Lukens Park to the power line trail along Drescher Road, and it is being used a lot. I travel this road going home and back and forth each day, and it's pretty neat and good to see the amount of use that it's getting from our park users. Also, the McKean Road and Stong's Lane storm pipe job that was completed this year. And the new signal at Drescher and Horsham Road was completed this year. This is a picture of construction in progress, but the sidewalks are now done at Whitmer Road and Prudential Road. So now we have a connection for walkability from the new 555 flats around the corner, and this sidewalk connects the 555 flats to the power line trail on Prudential Road, but also to the Lakeside, future Lakeside Medical Campus. So 2022 proposed budget is about $400,000 less than 2021. It's $18,399,913. The real estate tax is proposed to remain at 1.3 mils. There is no proposed tax increase for next year, and the budget is balanced for 2022. Our debt is about $8.4 million for the township, and that's actually very low for municipalities around us in the county have much more debt than we do. So, as you know, you refinanced the library debt this year, and we received about a $300,000 savings on that. So the next call date for that is November 26th, and our other bond is coming in a couple years in 2023 that we'll look at refinancing that bond. We have different funds in the township. So our general fund is the fund that we operate day-to-day business. That's where the $18 million is. That's where your real estate tax goes. The other funds are different funds. Capital Improvement Fund is for major projects like when we built this township building. The transportation improvements that are coming on Blair Mill Road and up at Horsham and Limekiln Pike. We try to keep about $3 to $4 million in the capital fund, which is our rainy day fund. And as council knows, we found out on September 1st, there's always a need to have that money available. That storm cost the township about $1 million in 7 days, just 7 days. And we had that money available, that rainy day fund, and we were able to, as Mr. Williams talked about, we were able to get in the neighborhoods and open them up, fix and make repairs. Now we're working with FEMA and PEMA to get reimbursement, but that takes about a year. So that can take up to a year to get reimbursed from FEMA and PEMA. Our Park Improvement Fund is for our park system, anything new we want to do. We try to keep around a $500,000 rainy day fund in that fund. And we have about an $800,000 balance right now. The state aid fund is our highway and roads fund. We try to keep about $1 million in that fund. So that's what paves our roads, we maintains our bridges, and we try to keep $1 million in that fund. The streetlight fund is simply that maintains our streetlights, pays for the power to the streetlights. And our outfall fund is for stormwater. So in 2021, a single family dwelling family house is $182,018 in Horsham Township, which is about $236.63. And you can see the breakdown. It goes to the library, the fire department, and the parks. And that's the breakdown of our 1.3 mils that people pay in real estate tax. We're proposing to keep the earned income tax at 1%, local services tax at $52, hydrant tax rate at 0.03 mils, and the street light assessment at 59 cents a foot. It should say 2022, but so I apologize about that. But this is the message I've been carrying the last few years. Our revenue stream is not keeping pace with growth, services, maintenance in the future. Outlook is expected to see growth in expenditures and further decline in revenues. And we really don't know the COVID impacts to our office parks. It's still unknown. We won't know that until next year sometime. You know, what companies are coming back, what companies aren't coming back. We've already been told, we know about 4 or 5 companies in town that are not coming back. They're going to stay at home working. And that's about 3,000 jobs. So there's a major impact coming to us that is unknown at this time, but we're preparing with it in our budget. So we know we will need increases in revenue soon, and that's going to be a continuation And also, I've said this in the last 2 or 3 years, that we're in a different financial era, and it's here and it's now. So this is our millage history in Horsham. So in 2021, this year, we were at 1.3. We're proposing to be at 1.3 next year. And you can see how it's, before the earned income tax was implemented back in 1997, you can see real estate tax was pretty high in Horsham until the earned income tax was passed by the state. So 2022 projects. The Whitmer Road Basin redesign, as council, you just got that MS4 presentation. That's an unfunded mandate put upon the township for water control, water quality. We'll be doing that redesign in 2022. We also hope to do an e-newsletter to our residents, those that sign up for it. Engineering and permit applications for the extension of the power line trail. That was also in your 2021 budget, but PICO has not given us permission to do that, to make those applications yet. And what PICO's doing is they're doing a study of these corridors with high power lines, high tension power lines, to see what their future needs are. So PICO knows that in today's world, they're never going to be able to build one of those corridors again. The people won't allow it, the elected officials won't allow it, no one's going to allow them to do that. So what they're doing now is studying what they have and their future needs. And if they have to increase the voltage along those corridors, what does that mean to people walking underneath the lines? So that's what they're doing right now. That's why they can't give us permission to proceed with those permit applications. So hopefully we'll get that. Hopefully it's good news once their study's done, especially along the line that runs our power line trail, and we'll be able to continue the power line trail out to Lower State Road once PICO gives us the okay. But the applications take 18 months. So 18 months just to apply for permits, get approval, and then you can go to bid to go to construction. So it's a long process. We already talked about MS4, which is the municipal separate storm sewer system for stormwater control and quality. We also have money in to form an ad hoc committee to design new park entrance signs. We've been talking about that for a number of years now. So an ad hoc committee appointed by council early next year to sit down with a sign company or a graphic artist or an architect and develop the new park signs. We didn't plug any money to put all the signs next year, just work through next year on a new design, and then we can phase it in and come up with a budget plan once we know what it is and how much they cost. Security cameras for the community center, floodgates for Keith Valley Road, branding banners. So a lot of this stuff was put on hold during the last couple of years because of COVID. So we have everything in place. It's just a matter of purchasing the banners now. So we want to get our branding banners kicked off and put on the light poles. We will continue to fund all engineering costs related to the Miracle Field and Horsham Soccer Turf Field. That's what we've committed to both organizations as they fundraise. Both of these projects are $1 million projects, and we've committed to cover the cost of engineering and engineering for bidding and engineering for permits. So as these two projects move forward, the Soccer Association actually 50% fundraised. So I gave our Eric Garten the green light at this point to go to engineer plans and to make the necessary permit applications for that field. They're hoping to go to construction on their field in April of next year, and hopefully to play on it by the Colleen Riley tournament in August. So that's their schedule. The Miracle Field is, they're still in their fundraising. They have about $200,000 raised, or they're $1 million, so they're moving along pretty good too. So the return of Horsham Day. Horsham Day's been canceled the last 2 years because of COVID. So what we are going to do is have a Horsham Day where there's no cost. So In the past, there's been a cost to our restaurants to come for their space. There's been a cost for our local businesses to come to have a space. And, you know, we all know that our restaurants and our businesses have been through a lot the last 2 years with the pandemic. So we want everyone just to come. We're going to cover the cost. We plugged it in the budget. And we're not going to ask companies for donations for this coming year in 2022. We just want everyone to come, bring it back to life, everyone to come, and show the businesses and the restaurants that we're here for them too, and we want them to come back. We'll probably be doing this without the chamber, because I don't think the chamber is going to survive the pandemic, but that's a different story. This would be solely all on the township. But we've been actually doing it the last few years ourselves anyway. So that's good news. We hope to have a day even better than our tricentennial Horsham Day. That's the plan, is to make it the best Horsham Day ever, to bring it back to life. What we also want to do in 22 is research electric vehicle charging stations and solar energy. There's a lot to learn, a lot to be educated about both of these things. They are not cheap, but there's a lot of grants out there for these things. And we want to use 2022 to research, get ourselves educated, find out what grants are available for these, and then be able to do something in 2023 with starting to implement them and phase them in. You know, electric vehicle charging stations here at the township building, at the library, various other places that we may want them in town at our properties. So we also plugged some money in for some architectural services for our library. And our library was built in 2004, and it's still a very beautiful building inside and out, but it's next year will be 18 years old. So we want to start looking at things before it gets too far along and it gets into a much, much larger capital project rather than just a annual maintenance project. So what Regina is going to be looking at is her front desk area, the circulation area where people check out is their busiest area. And we just show this. This is the new Upper Dublin Library. You know how bright it is. You know, ours is dark. Ours is pretty dark. It's dark wood. So we plug some money in there to have an architect help, draft up some designs. Again, not doing anything in 22, just working through a design, then coming up with a cost and being able to start something maybe in 2023. But again, rather than addressing the whole entire library inside, just address certain areas that need to be addressed. I don't think the entire library needs to be addressed, but certain areas need to be refreshed and keeping up with our infrastructure and our buildings. Our 2022 paving projects consist of the following roads: Meeting House Road from Moreland Avenue to Eastern Road, Moreland Avenue from Meeting House Road to Blair Mill Road, and then we'll finish up Grant, Wilson, and Pershing Avenue, Nesbitt Road, Meadowview Court, Indian Creek Way, Evergreen Road, and Willowbrook Road. The Meeting House Road and Moreland Avenue will be done by a private contractor, and then all the other streets will be done by our Public Works crew. Some other capital projects for next year. You just authorized us to go out to bid for the Drescher Road and Walnut Grove traffic signal replacement. So hopefully late November 22nd, your fourth Monday meeting of this month, you'll award a contract for that job. And we'll go through the month of December getting all the paperwork in line. And then hopefully in January, the contractor can order the signals. And the signals, instead of 12 to 15 months out because of supply issues, they're down to, the last I heard, about 6 to 12 months. So hopefully this signal will be in by the end of next year. We also have plugged in, which was taken off of our budget because of COVID, the repaving of the Kohler Park parking lot off of Horsham Road. Also, finally, we've been on this Blair Mill Road widening project phase 2 since we started in January of 2016 with preliminary engineering. We're trying to get to a point now where at the very end of everything, we have weekly meetings with PennDOT and our Michael Baker. We're trying to get to a point that you can authorize us to go to bid by December 8th, fingers crossed. So, and if we are able to do that, we'll award the project over the winter, and hopefully this project will be done in the spring and summer of next year. Another project that we started preliminary engineering for in January of 2016 is the Horsham Road and Limekill Pike intersection project. Next year, we will be continuing the right-of-way acquisition, which, as you know, is not cheap, and final engineering. Our goal is to wrap up all right-of-way acquisition during the summer of next year and go out to bid in the fall, early winter next year, so we can go to construction in the summer of 2023. The Pennsylvania Lifestyle Campus Street Lamp Project. This is another project that, again, is a PennDOT grant. And as council knows, when you deal with PennDOT grants, you're in a world of bureaucracy, and it just takes time and time and time to get things done. So we were awarded this grant probably 2 years ago, and we're still working with PennDOT to go through it, and hopefully we're wrapping that up, and that this project will be able to be implemented next calendar year, during 2022. And economic development. Next year, we hope to have another broker's breakfast. We had one this year. We hope to have our third restaurant week next year, a community job fair, continue to advertise and market the township nationwide to bring companies with living wage jobs, their headquarters and national headquarters and regional headquarters to Horsham Township. Host State of the Horsham Luncheon. We plan to create a new business recognition program, a new business welcoming program, and the most highlight is our business park shuttle bus pilot program. So we'll call it HOPS right now, Horsham Office Park Shuttle. This is a shuttle bus that will run from the Ambler train station to our Pennsylvania Lifestyle Campus and Horsham Business Center off Drescher Road. So the one thing we've always been hearing from our large employers in there is you don't have a train station. So we can't get the younger folks out of the city here. We can't get the younger folks, down in Delaware County or Manayunk. We can't get them here because they don't have cars. They don't drive. So what we'll be doing is doing a shuttle bus program, and we're going to start. The pilot program will be Ambler train station, and so the bus will be picking up people at the train station at Ambler and bringing them into the Pennsylvania Lifestyle Campus in the Horsham Business Center. So we hope to start that shuttle bus in March or April. It also gives us an opportunity to highlight the township and promote ourselves because we can wrap the bus. So as you see, the SEPTA buses all get wrapped in different ads in Temple University and other things downtown. We'll be able to wrap this ourselves, however, and say whatever message we want to say. Other capital purchases, so our comprehensive plan that was also put on hold. Our comprehensive plan was done in 2011, and it's recommended that you do them every 10 years. So next year, it's about a 2-year process. 2 to 3 year process. So year one will be next year, and that'll be an ad hoc committee also formed by Township Council to work together to update our comprehensive plan. We plan to replace 4 police vehicles, replace a public works pickup truck, purchase an excavator for our public works department. We also plugged in the budget for discussion, a new full-time position. Right now, I just said special events coordinator. So one thing I hear a lot about Horsham, and I hear from a couple council members, is we don't have any events. You're on social media, you see stuff in the news, you see Whitpain Township having events, you see White Marsh, Upper Dublin, Lower Gwinnett, and it's not a recreation coordinator. We're not talking about karate classes or yoga classes. We're talking about special events. And believe is that they can help us make our community more attractive. So when people see communities doing special events, that makes them more attractive to families. We don't have a recreation department. We don't have a recreation coordinator. But I really think it's a special event coordinator. There's a lot that goes involved with a special event. So much coordination, so much logistics, so much time. The staff that we have now, no one has the time on their plates to do special events. Everyone's working. So if we want to do this, and if we want to have special events in town, like you see these other towns have, that's what they have. They have people on staff that do them and coordinate them. So just for discussion, money has been put in the budget, in that budget that you saw, the $18 million figure for a special events coordinator. Painting of the exterior of the Public Works facility. One thing that we always pride ourselves on here in Horsham is we maintain our buildings. We maintain our facilities. And that we do that first, and if there's any money left over, then you do something new, just sort of like home. You maintain what you have, and if you have extra money, then you put the addition on. So it's time that, the Public Works facility is showing that it's time for the exterior of the building to be painted. So this is our timeline. You got the budget book last week. Tonight is the budget presentation. On November 10th is another review of the budget and also to introduce the budget ordinance. November 22nd will be another review of the budget, and December 8th would be your consideration of the adoption of the budget. Our budget summary, we are continuing our conservative budgeting practices. At the same time, we're maintaining our infrastructure, which I just mentioned. We're maintaining our health and reserve funds, which I talked about earlier, in our capital fund, in our roads fund, which is called the state aid fund, and our park improvement fund. And all of those create our high bond rating of AA1. When Moody's checks in with us, they love to hear that we have those fund balances that many towns don't have. We have a balanced budget, and we're maintaining the quality of life, the services to the residents, and keeping the township moving forward. So looking forward, we touched on this too, we still don't know the full economic impacts of the pandemic and its impact to our office parks. It is imperative that we continue our conservative budgeting practices, and at the same time, it's critical that we don't lose sight of Horsham's vision and long-term goals as we address short-term challenges. That is my presentation. More to follow in your coming meetings.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Looks like you put a lot of time and effort into getting that right for us. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Goodday?
Nice job, Bill.
Thank you.
I just have one question having to do with the grants for things like solar power and charging stations and that type of thing. What are some of the ideas that you have that we might be able to apply for grants for?
None. Just to be honest with you, there's just been no time with our staffing issue here to do any research. So I don't have that information, but it's something, I think that, there's more electric cars coming out.
Right.
I mean, there's more municipal, the next municipal cars we get will probably be electric cars. So we need the charging stations in the future. So it's just, there has not been any time to do any research.
Okay, so there may be grants out there now for things like charging stations, but that's what you're going to do the research.
Yeah, we're going to do the research. And there's different companies that make the charging stations. There's municipalities that already done it, so we're going to go talk to them, visit with them. What companies do they use? What grants do they use? How do they fund them? Some of the electric charge stations, just by my own personal knowledge, you can, they're not all free. You can, have to swipe your credit card on them and get charged for the use of them. So there's all different options out there. So that's what we want to do this coming year, is just to do all that research and come back to council, with a recommendation and a plan to phase them in the future at our facilities.
Thanks.
Bill, you should be commended. I mean, with passing of Rich Sable, our finance director, and the extra burden and load that you had to carry on top of the storm, you amaze me every year, but this year more than ever. You know, the holding the line on taxes with the lack of revenue. I don't know how you do it. It's remarkable. In all these years I've been sitting here watching you and Mike McGee before you, the way that you manage this budget with the amount of personnel. You know, our personnel, if you took out some of our older slides.
They're coming back.
Okay, which would compare us to other municipalities, because that's how you have to measure yourself. You have to measure yourself against other municipalities. And if you look at what Mr. Gildea Walker can accomplish with a 1.3 mil, when just about every other municipality, other than Lower Gwinnett and perhaps Montgomery Township, who has the benefit of significant, well, formerly significant retail, the fact that you get that done with 1.3 mils and a debt load of only $8 million is I still scratch my head, and it's because you get great people that step up during the storm, and it's just remarkable. So every year I sit here in amazement as to how you pull this off, but you did it, and job well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else, then meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming out, everyone.